So today I decided to get the W124 in my shed on the hoist and deal with this brake fluid that's about 3 years old now. Out of interest, this is what my so-called tester is calling this brake fluid. It is .3 in there at the moment, and yes, 2.4% is a bit high, and I am going to be putting in .4 because that's what's supposed to be in there. These 1 litre bottles were currently on sale at my local shop, so I bought those to put in here. Of course, I started at the rear left on my right-hand drive car as it's furthest away from the master cylinder. I did pick up one of these cheap pressure bleeders, and I am using the dry method today. And I don't have a turkey baster, so I went ahead and pushed the fluid level lower, just using the pressure bleeder to get it out of there. Not going below the minimum or anywhere near the minimum on the reservoir, because you'll end up with air in the system. Pleasingly, I did notice that there was air in the system anyway, so my one-man brake bleeder method of the past was obviously not 100% effective. Pay close attention to that reservoir and make sure you are topping it up before it gets to that minimum level, and you should be golden. And this is me now bleeding that rear right one. You can see the brownish colour of that fluid coming out, and I continued to bleed until there were no air bubbles and the fluid was coming out clear. You can see how quickly the fluid drops, and I've only charged this bleeder up to between 5 and 10% psi. Any further than that doesn't fill me with confidence. The official figure is like 2 bar, which is just under 30 psi. Now that is the wet method they recommend, but that's not what I did today, because I kind of feared that I would have a brake fluid explosion and get it all over myself and the car. Now, before you get to that minimum mark, make sure you run to that caliper that you're currently bleeding and shut it off before you get air in the system, and go top up the reservoir, as I've done here. And of course, you have to pump it up again. One word of warning: the minimum mark on the front chamber, well, you'll start getting air in the system before you even get to that minimum mark. So I did have to do this process all over again to make sure there was no air in the system. Just stop before you get anywhere near that minimum, particularly on the front. And out of interest, my brand new fluid is also reading at 2.3%, confirmed straight in the bottle as well. So I'm questioning the accuracy of these meters. Do I have bad fluid, or do these testers just not work on modern brake fluid? Here's another bottle I had for reference. It's a different brand, Newlon. That is saying 1%, which I would be happy with. And here's a PBR .4 bottle, which is rating 2.2%. Out of interest, both of these bottles were not sealed, and they're from 2018. So I really don't know what the hell to think. As for my choice to use the dry method versus the wet method on bleeding my 124, I kind of believed that the dry method would be safer in that there's less chance of uncontrolled brake fluid spraying everywhere. Yeah. Now, because of the shape of these 1 litre bottles, I managed to spill brake fluid absolutely everywhere anyway. So in hindsight, I probably should have done the wet method. But I'm never going to buy these 1 litre bottles again anyway, so next time I'll use the proper regular shaped brake fluid containers that are easier to pour into a reservoir without spillage. Or maybe I'll invest in a funnel.